Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm Dan.
I'm Jordan.
And it's our Ask Us Anything number 2 to celebrate episode 200.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I can't believe that we've done this that long.
When was the first one like 2 years ago? One, not a year ago.
No, it's probably 2 to 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, something like that. I would guess closer to 3. Because in the beginning, I think our release cadence was a little faster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's been a little slower the last year or something.
Yeah,
too.
well, yeah. Have gotten busier, for sure.
No, yeah, totally wild, though. To be at 200, very cool. Excited to celebrate and all of that together, but with all of you listening too. Mm-hmm. So, before we get into the show itself, though, we did have a bit of housekeeping that we wanted to kind of say off kind of our start, which is our show is going to transition to an irregular cadence. What we kind of mean by that is it's not a hiatus. It's not like, hey, we'll be back someday. It's not that. And it's also not that the show's ending. If it were either of those, we would call it that.
Yep.
But it's not. Instead, what this just means is that we're going to release episodes just not on a set schedule anymore. I'd say early on, we were probably scheduled at an every other week interval, but then I would put out other stuff because I was a wild person and playing a lot of games.
Yeah.
And then maybe the last year and a half, we've been on more of a clear every other week schedule. And I think we've gotten to a spot where that's just tougher. So kind of our why behind that, I think the first one being, is our lives have changed a ton in these 200 episodes. That was March 2018 when the podcast started. So
Yeah.
like over 5 years ago.
Yeah, I don't even know if I was married then.
You might have been newly married, is what I'm thinking.
I can't remember.
I think you might have been married for like a couple months.
I can't remember if it was right before I got married or, right after.
Yeah.
But either way, I have a kid now. Both purchased homes. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally. Our jobs require more than they used to. Mm-hmm. All of that sort of stuff. And so I think that just when we were planning towards this episode, we were like, our lives are different. And so we probably can't keep up the way we did before. But also we were like, we don't want to stop though. Like this is playing video games and podcasting about them. Like we want to, that's a thing where like, I want to do that. Mm-hmm. And so we thought this was a fitting time to kind of make an adjustment. Yep.
And it also kind of, like, we've played a lot of really good games. Mm-hmm. And we've played some that aren't as good. Mm-hmm. Sure. So I think it kind of gives us flexibility, too, to, like, play the games we really, really want to play with the more limited time that we do have. Or, less time we have that's more limited, whatever.
No, totally. I think that's true, because I know that there have been times, especially in the last, 2 years, where it's been, well, okay, I'm halfway through this game, and, I said we'd put an episode out, so I've got to push through it. Mm-hmm. Or we've got to push through it. Or, if you choose a game that you're less into, and then it takes longer to play it because you're not that into it. Mm-hmm. But also, if your time is tighter, all those constraints. So,
yep.
that kind of led here so we can do them as we will. I know I said there wouldn't be a set schedule, and there's not. If I had to just guess, I feel like I could see us putting out 10 or 12 episodes in a year. They just might be spaced out over larger chunks of time.
Yeah.
It might be 1 month, 2 episodes come out, another one, nothing comes out.
Yep.
I could see that. That would be my guess. Not making promises, but I could see that. I just imagine that being able to have some time will do that, and I think kind of leads into the next thought is it's going to allow us to play long games. Mm-hmm. That's been something that especially more recently has been really hard to do because our time is smaller. Being able to plug away at a game, I don't know, probably for 3 months before we'd even think an episode would come out. Mm-hmm. But then you're also trying to play other games along the way to be able to still put stuff out. I think that made that hard. So I think 2 white whales we've had on our list forever, probably since the podcast really started, was we should play Skyrim. We should play Witcher 3. These are kind of legendary games that take a long time, and they just haven't been, I'd say, accessible for us in the current state.
Yeah, and I mean, with games like that, I guess we technically could just release 1 episode on each game, but it would be a 12-hour episode.
Right.
So we'll probably do chapters or, like part 1, part 2, part 3. Mm-hmm. So I guess I could even foresee some of those potentially coming out faster, like maybe we'll do one a week. I'm not saying we will, but something like that could be a thing.
Totally.
If we finish it and then just decide to podcast on it all at the end or something. Something like that could happen too.
Totally, yeah. I feel like I know this was one that at the beginning of the year we were game planning about potentially doing The Witcher 3, which obviously did not work out yet. But when we were talking about it, we were talking about like, oh, we could do from this chapter to this chapter. That could be section 1, and this one to that one. And I think that that's something that seems pretty likely for us to ultimately do. I could see a situation where we break a game up like that, play it all, record it in pieces, and then maybe like put an episode out a week over a course of a month or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, totally, I agree. So, yeah, I guess kind of summarizing that point, we're moving to an irregular cadence, not ending, not hiatus, just we're going to put stuff out when we have it.
Yep.
Next thing to go with this is Patreon's going to be ending. First off in that, thank you so much for your support. Mm-hmm. We really appreciate anyone who gave any money to us. Oh my gosh.
Yes, seriously.
That's wild, and it was an enormous help paying for hosting, things like that. We really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And why we're ending this is, I think, same thing. If the show's going to be irregular, I don't want to, receive money regularly.
Yeah,
that doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it doesn't seem... I feel like, if you're on a Patreon, it should be something you're doing often enough that's worth it for people.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. So I think because of that, we were like, we don't want to do that. When this gets canceled out, the people who have been patrons, you will still have access to those episodes, I believe. It will just kind of move it to that, but you won't be charged any longer. I think ultimately long-term too, we want to move those episodes over to kind of the side podcast, Greatest Story Ever Played side quest, where those will probably come out maybe like once a month. So even in the meantime, I think with regular episodes not coming out, these old things that came out, I think, will be coming out piece at a time. So there could be new content to you coming out, depending on who you are. Still, even though it might have been recorded 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's something we did want to get that there, and then also I think with that in mind, I don't think it's out of the question that new content on Greatest Story Ever Played side quest couldn't come out. I think that like if we watch a new Walking Dead TV show and want to talk about it, we could totally do an episode that's not about games but still something new we want to talk about. Mm-hmm. So I think there's still a realm for that sort of stuff. I mean, it would be over on that feed, and links to that will be in the notes and all that. So, yeah, that's Patreon. Finally, again, getting to 200 episodes. Oh my God,
yeah,
what a cool thing! It's so wild. Thank you so much for listening. We know some of you have been listening since the early days and have been writing in and telling us about games and all of that stuff and enjoying them with us. And others of you are here more recently, and we're glad to have you too. I think that's just been really cool to get to share these with people. I know we say it a lot, but it's cool having comments from people like this episode.
Yeah.
If people didn't write in, this episode wouldn't exist.
Or just be like us pretending people wrote in, like, oh, this question's great.
Yeah. So it's really cool. It's been truly awesome to get to share all this with y'all.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been over 5 years. It's wild. Mm-hmm. In some ways it feels like it's been a lot longer than that, because it's hard to remember not doing it.
Yeah, that's true. The time before doing this podcast seems ancient at this point.
Yeah, well, yeah. We had our other podcast before that.
Yeah, it's true. Which would push it back longer.
Yeah,
which
crazy.
is wild. Mm-hmm. Yeah, been a long time hobby. Also with that, just kind of recognizing the 200, I wanted to shout out everyone we've gotten to collaborate with. That's something that has been really cool in doing this podcast, is meeting so many other people doing podcasts, getting to have community with them and enjoy them. So I wanted to shout these people out. Shout out Adam and Liz over at Games and Grocery, Steph and Nikki at Game Till 5, Jacob, Mike, Mo, Flora, Katie, Travis over at Left Behind Game Club and Cutscenes, Connor and everyone else at Lore Party, Thoughts from Player One, Good Game, Great Game, Let's Listen, the pre-order bonus, Do You Want to Continue, Matter Day, Mai from lifeisstrangefans.com, Control Alt Noob, and our friends of the show, Kevin and Morgan. I mean, what a group of people to have gotten to have on the podcast, to go on their shows. I mean, that's so cool. I had no idea. Before we did this podcast, I'd never not podcast with Jordan in person.
Yeah.
I'd never been like, oh, you could use Skype or whatever to do that. And so cool to have gotten to meet so many cool people all across the country and world. I would have never guessed that. So thank you, all of you, for being awesome people to work with. That's been very cool.
Yeah, also maybe shout out to our wives for letting us
Yeah.
buy video games and,
Yes.
and play them and not hang out with them
That's,
sometimes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Having a hobby this involved. Very
Yeah.
cool to have
Yeah.
supportive wives. I agree. Cool. All right. Well, that wraps up housekeeping section. I know that went on a lot, but I felt like we had a lot to say. It was worth addressing. So from here, last time, if you want to go check out, actually the last time we didn't ask us anything, episode 100, we'd done one to celebrate that. And we actually copied the format to that. So last time we answered the question, what was your favorite games we've covered on the podcast? And people wrote in about their favorite games we covered. Then we did sort of a general ask us anything, kind of any questions you want, video game or not video game related. And then lastly, kind of an eye towards the future. What are games that you'd like us to cover in the future? What are games that we want to cover in the future? That kind of deal. So we'll hit up that first one. Favorite games we've covered on the podcast. Let's start with you. What's one of your favorites?
Okay, I see that we have the same. Detroit Become Human, for a couple of reasons. One clear reason is it's just a really, really good game. Probably one of the best just pure stories I think we've played. And just the way it like the different storylines like intersect. And I guess I'm not gonna try to spoil anything as we talk, but just saying the way that things intersect is crazy. I think they did that really well. And I think it was one of the last games we just played together, like on the same screen. So that was a lot of fun to get to play together and then talk about it together. So yeah, it was just an iconic moment, I don't know, to me, and iconic game that we got to play together. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that that's a big part that stands out to me about it, too, is that when we first started playing games before the podcast ever existed, it was sitting together and passing a controller back and forth.
Yeah.
And that's how we played Detroit Become Human, and it was a blast. Because we had so much of, like, as things went, we'd, like, between chapters be like, oh, if this happens, maybe we should do this. And it was just, I don't know, it's always made this game stand out to me of how we experienced it, but then the game itself being good, too.
Yep.
I agree. And I think probably in our 200 games, or, well, I guess it hasn't been 200 games, but, whatever, talking about games 200 times, at least, this one has probably used choices and branching narratives and stuff like that probably the best.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt like everything could happen, and each chapter getting that, like, flow chart.
Dude, that thing's
and there was
nuts.
all this stuff that you're like, what would have happened? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was so cool. And it was just that's an experience that really stands out to me for sure.
Yeah, I just remember seeing that flow chart, and then you can like zoom out or like scroll on it, and I remember just scrolling like, oh my god, this thing just keeps going. It felt like hundreds of different possibilities of things. It's like I feel like that's one of those games. I mean, we could play it 20 times, 30 times, and have something totally unique, which is just wild.
Yeah, that was really cool. For me, that's also one of the ones that ongoingly stood out to me. Another one for me that has stood out is The Last of Us 2. That one, I think, was just one that we anticipated for so long. We both loved the first game, and it was one of our earliest episodes we did on the show. And so when this came out, it was just like, oh my gosh, this, we were just both super hype for it coming. And I don't know, just had a lot of thoughts, I think, on the game itself. And I don't know, that's one that always stood out to me. Also, I think besides Life is Strange True Colors, this is our like second longest episode. I just remember that we just like went in and just had so much to say about this game.
It's gotta be.
Which was fun. We probably spent 2.5 hours just going through this game, which was really cool.
I feel like we probably had to cut stuff too.
Yeah,
I'm sure we could have easily could have talked for twice as long as that if we wanted to.
Totally.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So that's one I feel like that just stood out to me a lot. And for something like, The Last of Us being one of our like favorite games, and anticipating that much, and you're like, all right, am I gonna like this? And for me, I loved this game. I thought it was amazing. So like,
yep,
to have that land, that was really cool.
Yep. My next one is similar. That's the first Last of Us. And I forget, did we record this before we did the second one? I assume so.
Yeah, no, yeah, this was maybe like episode 8 ever.
Okay,
Something
cool.
like that. It was like
Yeah, I
early
couldn't
days.
remember. Yeah, so again, early episode, great, but also just we didn't play this one together, but I mean, maybe probably my favorite narrative game of all time. I don't know, just it's a really really good game. So obviously that fits in well with what we're going for and what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I think just that was just such a fun game to get to talk about and play, and I just wish we could have played it together. It'd have been pretty fun. But yeah, that said, I think one of my favorite games. So I liked talking about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's fun.
No, totally. I agree. Yeah, that was great. The next one I wrote down was Life is Strange 2. And this one's a little interesting. That wasn't my favorite game necessarily. Like, I liked the game, and I kind of want to go back and play it again someday because I feel like maybe my feelings of what I thought it would be clouded what it was, sort of thing. But what I really liked about this game and what I liked about podcasting about it and was really memorable to me, so I felt like each time we were like, all right, what's going to happen next? And it was just so much of like, all right, trying to take in everything that happened, but also speculating as to what would come. And I know that game had like a long ass release cycle, like over a year.
Yeah.
And that sucked. But I do think that like each time it came back around, I remember being like, oh cool, it's gonna be released right when I get off of work. I'm gonna go home, grab one of my favorite beers. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna play this, and then like couldn't wait to hear what people would say about it. I think that was one of those games where we had just tons of people write in.
Yeah.
It was just fun to speculate together and with people about this game and what it would be. So I think experience-wise, that really stood out.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, it's not super. I feel like it's not super often we play a game that's actively being released like this, where you do get to talk through what had happened and then like speculate, but then also have to wait. And there's no spoiler. Like you can't get spoiled because it's not even out yet. It's like that's pretty cool. So it's just pure speculation, and you get to see how wrong were we about everything.
Totally.
Usually pretty wrong. So yeah, that was a ton of fun. Yeah, I agree. Not my favorite Life is Strange. Well, definitely not my favorite Life is Strange game. Not my favorite game of all time, but tons of fun to talk about. And yeah, just kind of the structure of it was good. My next one is Animal Crossing.
Ooh, that's
and not for any particular reason other than I just remember COVID was the thing, and then we had Switches, and we were both super excited to get Animal Crossing because everything was sad and depressing, and we were isolating, and like, well, Animal Crossing is going to be really fun. And it was a lot of fun. It was a great distraction, and I just remember, I think, we podcasted over Zoom or Skype or something, and just talked about Animal Crossing. It was great.
Yeah.
I think it's more of like it's a nice friendly blip during the crazy COVID saga. So it has a good spot in my heart.
Yeah. No, I agree. That I remember the Animal Crossing hype being too. I didn't have a Switch until right before this.
Oh yeah, that's
like,
right.
I bought a Switch like March 10th or something like that, like right before the world shut down, because we were talking about Animal Crossing and I knew you loved it and were hyped on it, and I was like, I'd played Pocket Camp maybe that fall because I was like, all right, I should see if I like Animal Crossing. If I like Animal Crossing, I'll buy a Switch for it. And I'd gotten a Switch from Walmart online. They were sold out in person everywhere. I thought I could just go buy a Switch because that was commonplace before that. And I got one, and it didn't get canceled, and I got to my house like right before Animal Crossing came out, and then played Animal Crossing, and like it just was my life or our lives for like
so great
a month.
Yeah, it was a long time,
and it was amazing.
Yeah, like whenever I think about Animal Crossing, I'm like, I'm gonna go play Animal Crossing. It's just such a feel good game. Remember like the turnip exchange? There's like literally the turnip stock market like online. It's like, dude, I feel like everyone played Animal Crossing during the pandemic. Like, that was just what you did.
Oh, and it was so crazy. Big where you like see like celebrities going to people's islands, and like all the fun stuff that came with it. It was just such a fun, I don't know, moment in time. Like you said, among a bad thing. Yeah, and I think was probably one of the first remote recorded episodes we ever did.
Yeah.
Like, I think we tried it like once or twice before COVID, and then COVID happened, and we're like, oh, that's good. We know how to do this.
Yeah, now we're forced to. That must have been.
I think it had to
there.
been like the first couple
Yeah.
that we ever did.
Yeah, I can't remember what we would have done before then, but definitely probably something because Animal Crossing came out a little bit into the pandemic.
Yeah, but really cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, fucking sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome. Nice. My next one I wrote down was Kentucky Route Zero.
Oh, yeah.
For me, I wrote this down because I think even now it's probably unlike almost any other game I've played before.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I don't know if I've ever played anything else that's like that.
I haven't.
And also the whole time it was just us being like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And I think that experience was, I don't know, it was cool. It was different than some of the other things. And so that one's always just stood out as just being kind of unique.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember that was one too where we would try to speculate at the end of each episode. 100% wrong every time.
Yeah.
And then I remember when it ended, I was like, I still don't fucking know what that game was about. Great game. I mean, it's really fun, very engaging. Probably the best, like, 2D, I don't even know what you...
Yeah.
2D game like that I've ever played.
Right.
Really cool story, very strange. Yeah, that was fun to podcast on. It's great. Next, Red Dead Redemption 2. Mostly because this was one of the few wow, it's probably the biggest game we've ever done, right? It has to be.
Probably.
Yeah, so...
I would think so.
Fuck, it was great, and I mean, the game is amazing, and I just remember talking about it. It was really fun. Yeah, I think this one is more like the game I just loved, and I liked talking about it because I loved it so much, so it was just really engaging to talk about, and everyone likes it, so...
Yeah.
To me, it was just like, oh, that's a fun game to play and talk about.
Yeah, that was good. I was glad that we got to take on something kind of big and wild like that. And was a great game.
Yep.
My last one I wrote down was just Pokemon generally.
Okay. That's cheating.
Yeah, which I feel like it's cheating, but I wrote it down because if it wasn't for this podcast and if it wasn't for you liking Pokemon, I probably would have never played any of them. I mean, I'd played Red and Blue as a kid, but I think that's where we would have left. I just would have never played Sword and Shield or Arceus or Violet, that kind of stuff. And I really like that because Pokemon's cool. And so I think that this podcast, I don't know, got me re-involved with the franchise and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed it from that realm, and that kind of stood out.
Yeah, I love Pokemon. You know that. So I'm down to do any Pokemon game you want to do. Except maybe Violet or Scarlet again, but I'm not a big fan.
I want to... never mind. I'll save this for later if I remember.
Okay.
I was going to say I want to do a certain one, but I'll save it for our question later.
Cool. But yeah, my last one was Spider-Man. I haven't really played that many like superhero games that are good. Can't really think of any.
Yeah,
I think I played a Spider-Man game when I was in like early high school. That was really fun. But this was a really, really good game, and it was a lot of fun to talk about. And I don't know, it was nice getting to talk about superhero things with you because you fucking hate superhero things. So it was nice to be like, oh yeah, this was actually really fun, and like the combat was really good. It was like just enjoy. Actually, Batman Arkham Asylum was really good too.
Oh, I heard those are good.
I only played the first one, I think. Anyway. Yeah, it was just fun getting to talk with you about superheroes and not have like you just make fun of all the dumb superhero tropes and all that.
Sure. No. Yeah. Because we did Miles Morales, but then you borrowed the OG game because I'd podcasted on the original game before.
Oh, that's right.
But you borrowed my copy when you got a PS4 or 5.
Okay. Well then, yes. Well,
but we did Miles Morales.
Yeah, great.
And we're definitely going to do Spider-Man 2 when that comes out. I'm hyped for that.
Yep.
You
don't ruin it. It's one of my...
Oh.
It's okay.
I was going to say, I'm just hyped for that game. I think that'll be great.
It might be okay. We'll see. I don't know about the villain in it, though. It's kind of questionable.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Spider-Man, great stuff. I agree. Cool. Now we'll move on to some listener feedback on favorite games that we covered on the show. We got a little bit here. First, we've got Tiny and Tired on Twitter, who said Life is Strange, all of them, Lake, Kentucky Route Zero, Soma, Plague Tale, Gone Home, Detroit, Night in the Woods. So many good episodes. Thank you. That's nice.
Yeah.
And I agree. It was cool seeing a lot of those games were ones we mentioned along the way. One I feel like highlighting on there, Night in the Woods. Oh, man,
Yeah.
I really like that game.
That was a lot of fun. And one of our earlier episodes.
Yeah, I think that was in the first maybe year-ish.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I also forgot about Oxenfree.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was that our first episode?
Yes.
That's, yeah. Surprised I didn't. Neither of us put that down.
Yeah, I feel like that should be down.
Yeah.
I feel like one of us should have had that.
Well, I'm gonna retroactively put it in. Oxenfree was really good.
Yeah. Oh, awesome game.
Cool. Nikki on Twitter said, obviously Life is Strange, the game that led me to your podcast, and probably like every indie and or small game because they deserve the attention, and otherwise I probably wouldn't have heard about them. So, nice. That's great.
I think that's a good shout out
Yep.
About the indie games or small games. I think that's I agree. If this podcast, if we didn't do this, I would have played 0 of those games. I don't know that when we started this podcast I knew what indie games were because I was such a new gamer.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I had any concept for that. And instead, like, you know, so many of these games I totally would have never played.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, and there's such a big it's like a big market or a big part of the gaming industry. It's just like pretty crazy because there's a lot of really good indie games as we've seen and played and talked about.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's more and more coming out too, which is cool.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. There's just so many that I would have never heard about, would have never played, and that have just been these little ones that we've grabbed and we're like, I heard, you know, you or me will be like, hey, I heard this was good. Let's check it out. And it's like 5 hours and it's like, oh, this was really cool.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. I think that's a great call out. Cool. All right. Now moving to our Ask Us Anything section. We've got a good chunk of questions here. So instead of attributing each one to a person, I want to just thank everyone who wrote in at the top. And then we'll kind of work our way through the questions. So thanks to Adam, Callum, Eli, Nikki, and Tiny and Tired for writing in with these questions. Really appreciate it. And yeah, hop in. So first question, what made you guys want to start a gaming podcast?
Well, I think there's the obvious, like video games. That's fun. You can go. I don't want to say everything.
No, yeah. I was going to say, I guess part of it was Jordan alluded to it earlier, but we tried a podcast before this on a TV show called The Mist that did not go well because the show was bad and got canceled after a season.
The show was okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. It was not good.
I think some of it was okay. It was mostly bad. Mostly bad, I would say.
Yeah.
But we got our podcasting feet wet there.
Yeah.
And when that ended, when that got canceled, we were kind of in a spot of like, what do we do? Do we want to keep doing this?
Yeah, I think we had talked about pivoting into like doing just Stephen King related things because The Mist is Stephen King, and we had talked about other Stephen King things on the road to talking about The Mist.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that could have made sense too.
Yeah, we thought about that, and I know one thing that happened in there was, so Jordan was someone who liked video games kind of always, as I've known him. But for me, my video game experience was actually pretty low. Jordan and I had played the Telltale Walking Dead games and Wolf Among Us together. But that was about it. And that was because of us liking The Walking Dead. It wasn't because of video games. That was because we were both into that. And then I had heard about the Telltale games and I was like, you like games? Are these cool? You're like, I heard they're good.
Yeah.
Let's play them. And so we did. And so for me, that like ignited a like, oh, video games are cool kind of thing.
Yeah, because I think at that point you only played Madden, really.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
I mostly played Madden.
Yeah. Madden's fun.
For sure.
But way different game, obviously, than what we've podcasted on.
Yeah, and a different side of games. I don't think I knew. I think I really thought games were like Madden or Call of Duty until I played Telltale Walking Dead. I just don't think I really knew.
There's only two games that exist is Madden and Call of Duty.
Yeah, I think that's what I thought then. But around the time when our last podcast was going to go away, I had picked up Life is Strange because I'd ended up buying a PS4 with some like Christmas money I got around that time frame, and I just had Googled like what are games that are like Telltale's Walking Dead, and Life is Strange went on there, and I got it on like a PlayStation sale for $4. I was like, well, cool, I'll roll the dice on this, and I played it, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool, and so then I was like, Jordan,
Yeah, I hadn't played it.
Yeah, you hadn't played it, and I was like, or we could do video games for our podcast, and we could play this, and you were like, yeah, I like video games, let's do it.
Yeah, because I mean, we already would at that point we would have just played games and talked about it anyway. Mm-hmm. So it was like, might as well just I guess record what we say.
Yeah, I think we were like we like podcasting enough. Like we were like, this is still cool. We aren't like I don't think we would have stopped podcasting on that show if the show hadn't ended. I think we probably would have kept going because we're like, well, we like our general topic, and so we were kind of like, let's roll the dice. And I think I figured you knew a lot of games and played a lot, and then I was like, well, we at least have Life is Strange to get us going, and we'll see what we like.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of a long answer for that, but yeah, that's how we got here.
Yep. Yep. Off the heels of a failure. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is, what game would you like to play for the first time again? I'll let you go first because I need to think about this. I think I have like a few answers.
Yeah, I think I have a lot of potential answers, but the first one that came to mind for me is BioShock. Because I remember when we played that, I skipped through a fair chunk of the audio logs, which is a total fuck up. Yeah. Because they're really cool and good. And like I'd listened to some, but I didn't like. I felt like I immersed myself in the environment in terms of how it looked and listening and stuff, but not all of those. And so that's when I really wish I would have done a little bit different. I think there could be other ones. I mean, all my favorite games, I would love to re-experience the wonder in those, I think. But that was one that really stood out to me.
Yeah, that's fair. Man. There's probably a lot I would like to get to, relive for the first time. But, probably Last of Us, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just such a good game. And even still knowing everything that happens. I mean, I've combed through every inch of that game, and it's still really fun. So, but if I could not know what happens in it and replay, dude, yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be like watching your favorite movie again for the first time over and over again, but getting to kind of interact with it.
Yeah.
So great.
No, yeah, that's a good one.
Yep.
Okay. Next one is, what's a crossover you'd like to see?
Oh.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one.
I think I can go first, I guess. A crossover I feel like I'd like to see. I don't know if this would work in a real way, but I did read some fan fiction once. Probably like 4 years ago or something. But it basically took the Last of Us story, but it just imported all the Life is Strange characters into it, and that was pretty fun. So it was like Bill was David instead.
Okay.
And I think it was like a Max and Chloe replaced the Joel, and I think Chloe was Joel instead, and Max was Ellie, like sort of thing like that or something. So they like took sort of the setting and general story sense. But I feel like mixing like those, or maybe like Telltale's Walking Dead with Life is Strange, I think any of those are kind of universes I like. So if somehow it made sense that the characters somehow interacted, I think I'd like that because, I don't know, I just kind of enjoy all of those.
Yeah, that's fair. Man, that's a hard question.
Yeah, that's tough. If I hadn't had time to think about it earlier.
Yeah. Okay, this would be kind of cool. If there was like Red Dead mixed with like Last of Us, where it's like the outbreak, but it's like Old West, and you're playing as Arthur or something like that.
Like a souped up Undead Nightmare.
Yeah. Undead Nightmare with like a good story in it. Or not okay. That's not fair. Undead Nightmare, but like just Last of Us.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. I feel like that'd be a cool crossover. And there's probably a ton of crossovers that I would love, but I just can't think of.
Yeah, I think so too. I could see there being other ones that I'm just not thinking of right now.
Yeah.
Our next two are related, so I'll just ask them both.
Okay.
What are your favorite songs from video game soundtracks, and what are your favorite video game soundtracks?
Okay. Probably Life is Strange.
Yeah.
First one specifically, but I mean, I feel like they just have really good music in it.
Mm-hmm.
So those are probably my favorite, and then Spanish Sahara.
Oh,
Sahara from the end of the first one, so fucking good.
Yeah, so good.
So that's probably my favorite song and scene.
Yeah.
Like combo. I don't know exactly what my favorite just straight up song would be, like removed from any context. It's hard for me to answer that one. But I would say like the song that I like a lot with the most feel in it is like that for sure.
Yeah, those are good answers.
Mm-hmm.
I'd agree on the Life is Strange front. I think that those are really all part of like music I listen to pretty regularly. As songs from Life is Strange. I really like the Night in the Woods soundtrack. That one's a favorite for sure.
That is good.
I thought the instrumentals in that were great.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
This is cheating because it's not exactly a soundtrack, but the music in like Emily is Away that they would have where you could like listen to the songs on YouTube.
Oh my god.
Those are great.
Just, YouTube in general.
Yeah, just YouTube. So I feel like that's sort of cheating, but a lot of those were songs. Some of them were ones I didn't know, or ones that were like, oh yeah, that song. I've listened to a lot of those too. So
that's funny.
Want to shout those out? Shout those out for sure.
Yeah, I don't know why that reminds me of like a grimy politician answer. You're like, oh yeah, music. I love music. Oh yeah, listen to my music on YouTube. Yeah, it's great. And then just kind of moving on, and like just not answering the question.
Like Mark Zuckerberg drinking water.
Yeah, it's like I will not be trapped.
This is what humans do.
Yeah.
No, that man, I feel like you are telling me it's a cop out. I'm trying to think of other ones.
It's okay.
I think also general soundtrack, the Last of Us soundtrack is a good one too.
Yeah, that's true.
Just as like instrumental wise is good, but
yeah,
a lot of good music.
Yeah, Life is Strange just stands out, and I mean that can be your favorite too. I mean, I feel like every time we play a Life is Strange game, we always talk about, oh, this music's sweet. Mm-hmm. Like this is like a soundtrack I would actually like listen to, just in the car or something, for sure.
Definitely.
Okay, next is what games from your childhood still hold up?
All right. I feel like first one, this maybe isn't the only one, but first one, I think Mario Kart 64 is just as good now as it was then.
Still the best Mario Kart.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it even still looks good to me, even though I know it's ancient at this point, but it still looks awesome to me, and just, I don't know, playing it's so fun. So I feel like that's one.
That's a good one. Yeah, similar. Mario Tennis for 64, so fun.
That's a good one.
I've played I think I played Mario Tennis for GameCube, and I played the Switch one, and they're like fine, but they're just not as good as the first one or the 64 one. Also, I would say Pokemon Red and Blue.
Yeah.
Or Gold and Silver. Those actually most Pokemon games I played in my childhood. So I'd say those still hold up, not because they're necessarily great games, but because they're nostalgic and they're like iconic Pokemon Forerunner games.
I feel like Pokemon Red still holds up. I haven't played Gold or Silver, so I can't say for sure. But I feel like Red does, for sure, though, or Blue, playing those. Because when we did that on the podcast, I hadn't played it in 20 years. And I was like, this is still a blast. And it did the nostalgia like you described, but it was still good.
Yep. There's probably lots, man. Yeah, I can't think of any. I used to play Halo 1 on my computer. I haven't played it recently, but I imagine it'd still be pretty fun. The original Halo.
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What's a one-off game that you'd love a sequel to?
Is it cheating to answer for a game that could have a sequel at some point? Or do you think it has to be like, this game is definitely not going to get a sequel, but you want one?
I think either one's okay.
Okay.
Or if you have one of each, I think that's all right too.
Okay. let me give the cop-out answer.
Okay.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Definitely.
I feel like they probably will have a second one at some point, or some kind of related game. So I think that's kind of a cop-out. So let me think of an actual answer.
I think that's a good one. If there's not a sequel of that, they're totally blowing it because it's very deserving of one. That's a great question.
feel like a lot of really good games do end up getting sequels.
Yeah, sequel is more common, for sure, if something's good.
Trying to think of like...
Or, I guess not good, popular.
Yeah. A lot of Sony original games, I feel like, are really good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if they get sequels or not.
I feel like a lot of them end up getting them, but not a full guarantee. I'm trying to look through games to think of ones that don't have sequels that I would want.
This is a good question. Yeah, I might just have to stick with Ghost of Tsushima.
I think that's a good answer. I think what I would want. I was looking through different games that we played because I felt stumped by this as well. A little bit. I feel like I guess this is one that would have got one. Days Gone didn't get one.
Oh.
They had a proposed sequel that Sony said no, that's dumb, and said no. But I would definitely play more of that game. The way that game left, I would want more. I think other ones that they're not sequels exactly, but I would spend more time in the world of A Short Hike, or I don't know. I would do another Emily's Away for sure. If there's ever a 4, I would get into
Firewatch, dude. That game's actually that's pretty fun.
Yeah, I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
There was something about that would be.
Detroit Become Human.
Oh yeah, that's a good. That's a good clear one.
Mm-hmm.
You are right though. A lot of games do end up getting sequels. I was looking through here, and a lot of the stuff does get sequels. Okay, next one kind of is the opposite of this, but is what game would you like to see a prequel to?
Oh, this is even harder. Well, maybe not.
I think that prequel for me. Yeah, that is tough.
A good game, like The Last of Us 2, could use a prequel. I'm just kidding.
That's funny. Great. I have one.
Okay.
I think if Horizon Zero Dawn had a prequel, since those are set in the future after it all went down, I would be interested in something that's even in the not even right when it all went down, but maybe even in the middle. I think that would be pretty cool to kind of get to see another lens in that world. I think that would be pretty cool.
That's a good one. I think a Red Dead Redemption 2 is the prequel to Red Dead Redemption, but it'd be cool to get another prequel to the prequel.
Yeah.
Of Dutch's gang before the end of the gang. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'd play that.
Yeah.
Because at that point, they're in the game, not a spoiler, it's the Wild West is kind of towards the end of it. It's getting civilized. It'd be cool to have one where it's the height of this is just the Wild West. You just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
I like that. I think that could even work for. Never mind. It can't.
It's a sequel.
Yeah, it doesn't. You can't go further. But
it could be a sequel, but it's a prequel.
Yeah, but I think you could go more prequel stuff, or in between the two. I feel like there are some characters from Red Dead 2 that I would spend more time with.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
They did.
There's tons of characters.
Yeah, that see what they were doing before Red Dead 1 or in the middle time. No, those are good questions.
Yeah, seriously. Next question is, what's a character from a game you've covered that you relate to? This is also hard.
My answer is always the same for this. It's Max from Life is Strange. Nice. I feel like she's such a Dan character for me, of just you get your introverted character, all of that stuff. She's one who I feel like I've has just always held kind of up there as a favorite for me.
Oh man, I don't know. Probably like the uh the character from Emily is Away in the first one, where you're just like chatting people and just you end up alone. Yeah,
funny.
just yeah, because all the lingo in that, and it
Yeah.
just was so. I feel like that's what I did in elementary or not middle school,
Yeah.
or early high school. It's like just try to chat with girls online and just get nowhere.
Yeah. No, I
Like
think
that's probably me. I identify with that.
I think that's a good one. I felt like the way they made conversation in that game
Yeah,
was very like this is what it was like.
yeah. At least,
In
at
all
least for
three.
me, yeah.
Yeah, in all
Yep.
three, I felt like both the AIM ones and the Facebook one, like
Yep.
it was like, yeah, that's how I used Facebook.
Yep.
um,
For sure. Me too.
yeah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one is who's your favorite video game character?
Hmm. I was trying to think of the worst villain we've covered. I'm just gonna say that, but I. Oh man, that's hard. Do you have one?
I do.
You can go.
My favorite is Aloy, from Horizon. I really like Aloy. Why she stands out to me is she like basically like finds herself in the like I need to be the savior of this world kind of thing, or like fight back here, and she doesn't have any reason to at all. Everyone's shitheads all the time. Some people are fine, but a lot of people are difficult. She goes through trials. She was an outcast. All of these sorts of things, but she's still determined to save the world that is generally speaking not great to her. And so I don't know. I really like her for that kind of determination and all of those things. And I don't know what she's like. So she's always been a favorite.
That's a good one. I need to finish that game, the first one.
Yeah,
I have it. Should play it.
that would be good.
Yeah. I'll say. I really like Arthur Morgan from Red Dead 2. He's just such like a flawed character, but in the end he ends up being like just a really good dude. Still flawed, but like does the right thing most of the time. He's like a principled outlaw, which is I guess maybe surprising for that time. So I liked him a lot. I remember when that game was over, like wanting just more of his character specifically. Like I would play way more with him.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Nice. Next question we got is what game would you want to spend a year living in?
A whole year, huh? Horizon.
No.
You know?
No,
It's
I
your
don't
favorite game, though, dude.
I don't want to get killed by robot dinosaurs.
Just-
I feel like my two off answers that I could think of are easy ones, but
what are they?
because they're real places, is Life is Strange and True Colors. So Life is Strange, I went and actually visited Tillamook Bay, which Arcadia Bay is based on, when I was in Oregon. It was really cool. I feel like that little town in Pacific Northwest, amazing.
Oh, dude.
Would be a great spot to live. Also for True Colors, when we played that, and it's like, oh, you're in this like small town in Colorado. Again, it had
That place was sweet.
It was so
Yeah,
cool. You're
I would
like,
live there.
I would live there.
100%.
Like, it really felt that way.
Yeah.
I feel like those feel a little like cheating because they're not like that fantastical or fun. But I feel like a lot of other games we play are like there's things that will kill you.
The world sucks. Yeah, altogether.
Like you get killed in The Last of Us or Horizon or in Rapture and Bioshock or whatever.
No thanks on Bioshock.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's a lot of bad things. Oh, I guess this one, Animal Crossing.
I was thinking Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
It'd be nice and peaceful. You just dig holes around all the people you hated and make them move. Be easy.
And that Tom Nook isn't going to make you pay up right away. So
Yeah, you could live there for a year and never have to pay a cent.
yeah, you could. He kind of lets you figure it out. I think island life would be nice, or Pocket Camp, having a campsite you run. Both of those.
Yeah.
seem pretty nice.
I feel like the Life is Strange 2 town is sweet. I think I'd pick that. That place is awesome.
Life is Strange 2?
Yeah, sorry. True Colors.
Oh, yeah.
I just called that too.
Great town.
Yeah, awesome town. Not Life is Strange 2.
It's like,
no, thanks.
They were everywhere.
Yeah, no, pass. Yeah. What video game item would you like to own? This can either be a functional item, like it works, or just a replica.
Ooh. That's a good one. That's a good question.
I'm trying to think of a really good item.
I know. I feel like I'm gonna waste it.
Yeah.
All right. I have two very, very different answers. Neither of them might be the right one. One is one I already have, but my Lego tall neck for Horizon. That's really cool. Is a functional or a replica item of a thing that exists. I think is cool. A real thing.
You wouldn't want the real tall neck thing?
No, it's so big.
But
functional. I feel like just owning like a blaster or a lightsaber, something like that from Star Wars, I think would be pretty cool.
Lightsaber would be sweet.
It'd be pretty cool.
I mean, let's be real. You would like accidentally kill yourself with it.
No, yeah, you probably would.
I would.
Yeah, I think I would too. So that like declines that, but I feel like it would be pretty cool to actually like. I don't know. Even if you didn't do anything with it, if you just held a lightsaber in your hand and turned it on, it does the and you see it, you'd be like, "This is cool as hell." So that I feel like there'd be something more practical or cool in a game that I'm not thinking of. But those are my like
lightsaber's
first two.
Pretty good. I can't think of anything else really practical. I don't think I would pick something practical either. I think I would pick something like some weapon that's useless just to have it.
I'm trying to think of something else.
Yeah. Oh, portal gun.
Oh, that's a
easy portal gun. Yep.
Portal gun.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yep.
I was trying to think of something that could do that, where I could like, if you could fast travel. Actually, fast traveling is the thing. I would choose that. It's not an item, but
if that wasn't teleportation.
Something along those lines. But portal gun, I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah, portal gun's good.
All right. Next question. What's your favorite art style in gaming? For example, Telltale's comic book style. Your not quite realism of Life is Strange. The holy shit realism of the Red Dead 2 or Last of Us 2. Journey or Abzu, pixel art, Firewatch, Oxenfree, and so on. What would be kind of favorite art and why?
It's a good question. I think I like just the real, just holy shit realism.
Yeah.
I think I've just always been like a fan of like really, really good graphics on things. So, and not that you can't have good graphics with other styles, but I think it just is the most obvious one that are really good with like the most realistic graphics. So I think that's my favorite.
I think I would go the same. I found myself, if Sony's putting out a new game, since their art style does tend to all fall that way for your, Last of Us, Spider-Man, Uncharted, Ghost of Tsushima, all of that, they all sort of follow how they look. They all look like PlayStation games. And for me, I basically am always like, I want to play that. And so I feel like that kind of puts that, if all else is equal, it does seem like that's what I want to play.
Yep.
I do like a lot of other art styles, though, like is described here, and am gravitated to them, too. But I just think that if Sony puts out a new first-party game, it does seem like I want to play it. Even if, even God of War, which I was less into, I'm still kind of like, oh, should I play Ragnarok? Even though, I'm not overall interested in the franchise, but because it's a Sony game, I'm like, well, maybe I want to play it.
Yeah. Another art form I like is, what is it, 8-bit? Or 16-bit? I forget what the term is. Like old, Game Boy games, that kind of shit. I love that. Probably just nostalgic reasons. But I would play mini games that are still like that, for sure.
Yeah.
I think I really enjoy those.
Yeah. No, that's great. Okay. Next question is, if you could do a 1-week PTO staycation, how many games would you play that week? Would you choose one really long game or many shorter games, and how many?
I'd probably go with one really long game. Just pretty big fan of like really immersive RPGs, so I think I would just, depending on how much I play at night, maybe
Yeah.
play two really long games. You never know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would definitely pick one just RPG that's super long, like The Witcher 3,
Yeah.
or maybe two like. Actually, I'd probably pick like two shorter RPGs.
Hmm.
When I say short, I mean like Spider Man, like
Sure.
40 hours or 25. I don't remember. Something like that. I think it would be the move for me.
I like that. I think that what you described, I really like being lost in a game.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that. But the way this question was posed, I also like I like the idea if I had a, you know, staycation of 7 days or something like that. If I just had one game I beat each day,
Mm-hmm.
that does seem really rewarding thinking about it. Like if I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, I played 7 games this week and I just spent all day, like, if they're, I don't know, under 5 hours or something like that, I just beat 7 5-hour games in my week. I feel like I'd come back from vacation like that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I really like that concept. And I'm like, maybe I need to take PTO and beat a game in a day. That sounds like a good way to spend time.
Mm-hmm.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, next is, would you, given the opportunity, do this podcast full time?
Yes, definitely. I feel like if money wasn't an object, like, I don't know, if like I got to work 30 hours a week at my regular job and I had the same amount of money coming in because of whatever the circumstances that allows that, and I could spend that other time podcasting, totally. I would definitely do that. I think that, there'd be the danger of like, oh, does a passion become work and then does it become bad? Like, that's real. But I don't know. That would be really nice to not, like, I think that I could have the maybe discipline or whatever to play games, but not make it feel like a chore. But like, okay, I need to play 2 hours today because I'm planning to do this thing or whatever. Like, I don't know. I would be about it.
Yeah, I would too. I think, what, playing video games full time and like talking about it? Okay, sure. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, there'd be probably times where we'd pick a game that we're not as like into as other ones, and that would be a little difficult. I don't even want to say difficult. It would be less maybe fun than if we were like super into every game. That won't happen, but like the vast majority of things would be like very enjoyable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't see not wanting to do that.
Totally.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Given unlimited resources and money, skill, and everything else, what's your ideal game that you'd create?
Ooh.
Okay, for sure an RPG. I'm gonna think after that, but that's the beginning stage.
Beginning, it's an
RPG. Definitely an RPG.
I think that I would like maybe games set in like time periods that aren't as covered. So like I don't know. Like the Wild West doesn't actually get covered that much. You have the Red Deads, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like something in that time frame or like maybe a World War II game that's not just like a shooter.
Yeah.
But like again, this is, I feel like it goes back to this a lot, but if it was like a story told like The Last of Us but set during World War II, something like that, or the Civil War or whatever, like going through a thing where there's this big narrative but you're in this certain time and place, like I don't know,
that could be cool.
I think that would be really cool. I think that'd be a thing I'd want. In terms of setting, I think could be pretty interesting.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea. I mean, again, like I like RPGs a lot. I like being lost in the game, creating your character, just having skills, whatever, all that. But I would like that if it was like something less covered, less common. You got your typical like future things. You have a lot of like sword things. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, something slightly different than that would be cool. Yeah, Wild West RPG would be sweet. Like, I'm surprised that's not a thing. I guess Red Dead 2.
No.
Red Dead 1. But something else other than that.
Yeah, well, or even like how Ghost of Tsushima was. Like, I don't know that time period gets covered in games otherwise.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was cool. They like jumped into
more of that.
an area that's not, because I would think that more often it's like, you know, like you said, it could be space or it's apocalypse, post-apocalypse, or you know, that sort of stuff. And not that there aren't lots of other settings in games, but I just think it would be cool to be somewhere that's not as common.
Yeah.
I think too, if it was truly like those things aside, I think like a definite Dan game would be anything that's like choice based or branching stuff. I think that would totally fit that kind of game I would want to.
Yeah.
Not necessarily with those settings, but just I don't know. That's something I like a lot.
I would love a Wolf Among Us 2 game, which apparently it's coming out.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe someday. We'll see.
That would have been good for our sequel we want. That's not real, but we want it.
I didn't think about that.
I didn't either. That would definitely have wanted that for a long time.
Yeah, that's my new answer for that. Retroactively, that's my answer.
All right. We got 2 questions left for these. What's your favorite video game story? And I'll say the other one too.
Sure.
What's your favorite video game? I don't think they're the same answer, but good to think about.
I can answer story first. It's gotta be Last of Us. I'll go first one specifically.
Yeah.
Just it's just an amazing story.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it objectively for sure for me.
Yeah, I think my answer is the same also actually.
Yeah.
Is favorite video game story. And I'm gonna put 2 in there too. I think that continuation, just to me, those are one big game at this point in my head. Mm-hmm. And I think this is when we did our AMA for episode 100. I think a question very similar to this got asked. I think we had the same answers, which I don't know, is interesting that that's just sort of held true to us as like a story in gaming that has stood out to us kind of ongoingly. Is that one?
I'm gonna look it up.
So that's big. I guess I'll answer the other one while you're looking that up. Favorite video game in general, for me, still I'm gonna go with Horizon. That's the first, I think, RPG game where I got lost in it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, put 60 or 80 hours or something into the first game, and I'd never had that happen. I'm not an always linger or like do every side quest kind of person typically. Mm-hmm. And that game I was. And I like platinumed it. I don't care about trophies at all as a person. I'm not a trophy hunter, but I was for that because I just liked being there so much. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think that for me, favorite game for sure.
That makes sense. That is the game. When I think about you in video games, I think of Horizon Zero Dawn. Man, this is hard. I feel like I go back and forth or like rotate between a few. Mm-hmm. I have ones like Pokemon Red or Blue, not because I think they're like amazing games per se, but just nostalgic wise for me. I think it was my favorite game I've played as a kid, and I just have a lot of really good memories. So maybe those. Also, maybe Ghost of Tsushima because I like that time period and the game was fucking sweet. Mm-hmm. Maybe Skyrim because I've beaten that like 5 times and put 500 hours into it.
Yeah.
Man. Maybe. I'm just gonna pick. I might just pick Fallout 3.
Okay.
Not. It's a pretty buggy game. The graphics aren't good at this point, but kind of same with like Horizon Zero Dawn for you. I think I did every inch of that game. I did every side quest, talked to every character. I did everything, and I've replayed it a few times too, and it's good still for me. It's
nice,
dated for sure, but yeah, I think Fallout 3 is my favorite game. It was one of the first RPGs I got really really into and did everything in. So I think that is I'm gonna say my favorite game.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you ask me again tomorrow, I might say something different, but right now that's it.
Nice. Cool. Well, this will move us to our last section. Again, thanks everyone for those questions. That was cool. So games we want to cover in the future. So thinking about, all right, what's something that like we gotta do? If I don't know, if we do a AMA number 3 at episode 300, what's something we're like I gotta cover it? So what are some things that stand out to you?
I Witcher 3 for sure. Um, which we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to probably do at some point, hopefully. Elden Ring for sure. You've not played a From Software game as far as I know.
I have not.
So, and that's one of the more like accessible ones. I feel like still pretty difficult. And I went down Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice. Arguably the hardest. Well, not arguably. It is the hardest From Software game. I love it. It's actually that was one of the games I was thinking about for my favorite game of all time because it's just when you get good at it, it's so fucking fun to play.
That's cool.
So good. So I would like. I just kind of wanted you to play it. I feel like you would hate it.
I probably would hate it.
Yeah. So I just it'd be fun to like talk about it on a podcast. You'd be like, yeah, fuck that game.
Oh yeah, I'm interested. I think that your Elden Ring thought there is probably the most accessible. It seems like, or the other one I've had in my mind is just Bloodborne.
Yeah, Bloodborne's really fun.
Just I think just since it was a Sony game, even though I know it's from Soft too, I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is a Dan thing, and it seems pretty regarded.
Oh, Bloodborne's great. Yeah.
I mean, all the from softwares seem regarded anyway, but I know they're hard, and I know that I'm not that good at games, so I question whether I would get anywhere in any of them. But I'm interested.
Yeah, you can. I think there's like you can like get people to join your world and help you. It's it's a thing.
Yeah,
They're definitely hard, but I think Elden Ring's. I didn't find it hard that much at all. So
nice.
I mean, it's hard like relative to other games, but it's not that. It's accessible for sure.
Nice.
And then Spider-Man 2. But we're gonna probably do that. So
Oh yeah.
that's kind of a cheating answer.
No, I definitely think we will and should do that. That's I'm excited for that enough that I'm like that might end up being my favorite game this year. Like if it works how I hope it does.
Yep.
You know, like I had such a blast with the OG.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. For mine, I wrote down Witcher 3 too, like you described. I think that's one we've talked about for a long time. I own it. I bought it like a couple of years ago. Just haven't managed to play it yet. But I know that CD Projekt Red did a free PS5 update
Yeah.
that I have downloaded.
It's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. Good to know there. Another one, this is one I thought of earlier when we were talking, but Pokemon Gold is my kind of like,
I wondered if that was the one.
I want to play that because I haven't, but I know it's pretty regarded. I think you've said that's usually your 1A or 1B for kind of favorite Pokemon games. And so I really want to play that. And then the other thing I wrote down was just franchises that I have never played, but I would like to play at least one on the podcast. So Zelda, Fallout, Final Fantasy. I'm sure there are other franchises too that would fit that, but just ones that, plenty of games have come out. People who like games love these franchises or love some of them. I'm sure the same audience doesn't love all three, but like different audiences enjoy all of them. And I feel like they're like, because they're all big, I've just been like, shit, I don't know if I can get to them or not. But I feel like now with our new setup, I think that would allow for those a bit more easily. And so I'd like to check those out and see what they're about.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I've actually never played Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
I've heard the, 7 remake?
Yeah.
Is great. And I think they're coming out with the second part of it soonish. I'm not sure when.
Yeah, I've heard the same. And yeah, I've seen 7 get regarded as like one of the best games ever. Like the original 7.
Yeah.
And so it getting updated for modern audiences or whatever with remake and the remake sequel and all that. So yeah, sounds really cool. Really interested in that. Yeah, so those have been ones on my mind.
Yep, those are good. Yeah, Zelda, I've played some of them. Breath of the Wild, obviously, people like that game. It's pretty okay.
Yeah.
Game's sweet.
Yeah.
And the second one's out now too. So.
Yeah, and people love that too.
Yep. And I'm a big Fallout fan for sure.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. We can move to a little bit of listener feedback for games that people would love us to play. So first we got Alyssa on Twitter who said, Among the Sleep and Lost Words Beyond the Page. I think these are both kind of more indie-ish games,
cool.
but they both look cool.
Yeah, I've actually heard of Lost Words Beyond the Page, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. Chris on Twitter says Witcher 3 or Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. I'd play that. I heard they're releasing like a full-on remake / remake, at this point remake of, I think, Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Oh, cool.
But I also heard maybe they're not anymore. Like, it was in production. I think they had some big issues. And I'm not sure if it's still coming out, but I hope it does.
No, that'd be cool.
Yep.
Or the OG ones. That would be fun. I know they're on Switch now. They got ported over there.
Oh, nice.
So I could see that being a game we end up playing since we both like Star Wars. And I've never played KOTOR. So
yeah, I've looked at playing them. I just haven't because they're a little bit dated.
Yeah.
So I think I'd have to be like I'm gonna commit to this.
Yeah.
I just haven't felt ready to commit to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Tiny and Tired on Twitter. Said Pentiment, Beacon, Pines, My Child, Lebensborn, and Fears to Fathom. Yeah, no, the Pentiment seems cool. Have you heard about Pentiment?
I have not.
Its art style is pretty interesting. It's an Xbox only game.
I have an Xbox One.
Yeah, I think that could be a good one to play on there. But the art style is really, it's just pretty different than other games that I've seen.
Nice.
But it seems cool. I think it's medieval type thing, so
I like
knights
that.
and shit.
I like medieval.
But the art style, this is wrong. I've only looked at it a little bit, so I might be wrong. This might be wrong. But it almost looks like a coloring book or something like that.
Oh.
Like it doesn't look.
Huh.
Like it almost would look like if you were like your paper mache person was like walking across or something like that.
Okay.
Like, it looks kind of different, but I've heard it's very cool.
Nice. That sounds cool.
I think it got made by one of the studios Xbox bought, like Obsidian or someone like that.
Oh shit!
But then
really?
they made this like totally different looking game.
Oh wow, that's cool.
But yeah, it's something like that. It looks cool though,
yeah.
so I feel like maybe someday we'll have to boost up your Xbox One and check it out.
Let's do it. It's gathering dust in my closet. Yep. Yep. Nikki on Twitter said, "I am bread, I am dead." I don't know if those are two separate games.
They are.
Oh, cool. That's funny.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too.
I am bread, I am dead. Death Stranding, Undertale, Stardew Valley, Tales of Iron, Ollie World, The Witcher 3, Stray, Assassin's Creed, starting with Assassin's Creed 2 or Assassin's Creed Odyssey is my favorite, Far Cry 3, and Skyrim. So I have a few things to say. Stardew Valley, fucking sweet. Played that. It's great. Had it on my Switch.
Oh, nice.
Very fun. Yeah, it's like
it's
like an 8-bit Animal Crossing.
It's like souped up Animal Crossing because you can do a lot, right?
Oh, you can do
like
tons.
way more.
Yeah, Witcher 3, I've heard of that. Stray, I've heard is really good. It was free for a while on PlayStation Network or something.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if it still is. And then Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of my favorite games of all time, too. I fucking love that game.
Yeah.
That's a game I've done everything into.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then Far Cry 3 I've not played, but I've played Skyrim. So
No, yeah.
Big fan of a lot of those games.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of games on there that feel like ones we should play.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you talked about with Stardew, I think that could be cool. Sometime I could see really potentially enjoying that as like a Switch game and playing that for a few months. Maybe. All right, let's talk about it.
So much in there.
I've never played a Far Cry game at all, but I'm interested. Like in them, they seem fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Skyrim and Witcher, like we talked about for sure.
Have you heard of Tales of Iron or I Am Bread and I Am Dead?
I've seen a little bit about them. I Am Dead, I think, is an indie game that I think is published by Annapurna, who did like a lot of the indie games that I like Edith Finch and Gone Home and
nice.
Stuff like that. I'm thinking it's probably about, I think it might be something about taking people to afterlife or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's cool.
Something like that. I don't know. It seems like a kind of game I'd like. I'm also interested in Death Stranding.
I am also, actually.
I've been kind of, when it came out, I was like, I'm not sure. And things like that. But I think knowing it was long also.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with kind of I feel like my mind has reopened to long games with this in mind, and I'm like, all right, maybe this is a thing to check out.
Yeah, I think for a long time I just made fun of it as just a 60-hour walking sim.
Right.
I've been with like crazy product placement. Because I just remember seeing the first clip of it. Norman Reedus is waking up, and there's just monster cans everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
Come on. But it's probably people seem to like it a lot, so it's probably worth playing.
Yeah, totally.
Also, Nikki's got some good recommendations. So.
Yeah, agreed. Shout out.
Yeah.
That good recs.
Yeah.
From her and everyone else.
Yep.
I've definitely got all these on a list now to start looking through.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll be seeing several of these on kind of future episodes as we go. Yeah, definitely want to do that. Cool. Well, that covers episode 200. We did it.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Made it.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, thank you for listening. Thanks for writing in. This was great getting to talk about this and celebrate this long of doing the show. If you want to write in and talk with us, you can on Twitter at StoryEverPod. If you want to listen to our backlog of episodes, including our episode 100 of this, you can. When we did AMA number 1, you can do that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get podcast. If you'd like to leave a review for us, that would mean a lot. Share it with a friend. Yeah, that would be really cool. And yeah, that's the episode, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. See you.